Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome into a new math lesson, ordering decimals. If we want to order two numbers, we're gonna arrange them into two methods, ascending order and descending order. Ascending order start with the A like and, so we're gonna start from small to big. Then we have descending order. It's a start with a D like dolphin or dinosaur. So we're gonna start from big to small. Okay, if we want to arrange the following fractions, so we need to arrange them here. Look, he told me in ascending order. So we're gonna arrange them from small to big. Okay, first of all, to start to compare them to find the smallest one, we're gonna search for the smallest whole number first. Look here, we have 4 and 49, 0, 0, and 2. Of course, the smallest one is the 0, but we have two numbers that has 0 in the whole number. So if the whole number are the same, we're gonna compare the decimal number. So we will go on left, we will start with the 10th to start to compare from the 10th. On the left here we have 0.4 and on the right we have 0.0. So of course the 0.0 is the smaller. So we're gonna write it first, cancel it there and write it down below. The smallest one is 0.0492. After that we're gonna write the other one, the 0.492. Then after that we have the 4 and the 49 and the 2. The smallest one now is the 2, so we're gonna cancel the 2 and write it down. Then we have now the 4 and 49. Of course the 4 is smaller, so we're gonna write the 4.92 down. Then the last one is the 49.2. Okay, if we want to arrange the following fractions in descending order, that means we can arrange them or must arrange them from big to small. Okay, here we have 7, 6.5, 65, 6.05. So we want to arrange them, but here we have 6.5 is written as mixed number. So we can make it as a decimal number to compare all of them together. So here, how can we make 6.5 as a decimal number? We know 6.5, we can write it as a decimal number as 6.5. Excellent. Okay, now when we start to compare them, we're gonna compare the whole numbers first. And if the whole numbers are the same, we're gonna compare the decimal number that the first one on the left, which is the 10th. So here, let's check the whole number first. Here we have 7, 6, 65, and 6. Now, which one is the greatest? The 7 or 6 or 65? Of course, the 65, so we're gonna write it first. Now, after this, we have 7 and 6. So, which one is greater? Of course, the 7. After that, we have 6 and 6. So, the whole numbers here are the same. So, we're gonna compare the next number on left, which is the 5 and the 0. Now, which one is bigger now? The 6.5 or the 6.0? Of course, the 6.5 is greater. So, we're gonna write it first. So, we're gonna write it as 6.5 in the origin form. Now, after this, the last one is 6.05. That's it. Lying between. If we have 2 and 4 and we want the number lying in between them, we know that the number that after 2 is number 3 and the number that before number 4 is number 3. So 3 is the number that lying in between 2 and 4. So here we have the 2 and the 4 are non-consecutive numbers. They are not after each other. Okay, what if we want to find the numbers that are lying in between 0 and 1? Actually, 0 and 1 are consecutive numbers, so they are after each other. If we want a number that smaller than 1 and bigger than 0, so it's a fraction or a decimal. It's a proper fraction actually. So we can have half or a quarter or 3/4 or 1/10 or 1/100 or 1/1000 or 1/1,000,000 or 1/1,000,000 and so on. So actually between 0 and the 1 we can find decimals, like here in the middle between 0 and the 1 we have the half, so it's a 0.5, and we said the decimals number like 1/10, 1/100, 1/1000, 1/10,000 and so on. So the decimals here has no end, so we call them infinite or infinite. Okay, if we have 2 and 3 and we want to find the number that in between them, actually 2 and 3 are two consecutive numbers, so they are actually after each other. So when we want to find the number that in between them, they're gonna be fractions, so we will find a decimal in between them. Okay, so we have 2 and 3 are whole numbers, and we can find decimals between them. As we said before, 0 on right in the decimal numbers doesn't change the value of the number. Like if I here put the decimal point and I put 0 after that, so actually I didn't change the value. It's 2.0 means that I have 2 and I have nothing yet in that decimal point. And 3.0 actually also means that I have a 3 only and I have nothing in the decimal point, so I have no fraction beside it. Now when I open the new place to count after it to find another decimals between them, okay, let's try to count here. 2.0, after 2.0 we have 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, which is 2.5, and that's in the middle between 2 and the 3. Then we have 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9. So these are some of the decimals that in between the 2 and the 3. If we have 0.1 and 0.2, actually 0.1 and 0.2 are two consecutive decimal numbers. So if we want to find some decimals that in between them, it's gonna be smaller and smaller. So how can we find them? We said before we can add 0 on right in decimal because it doesn't change the value of it. So we will add 0 on right after the 1 and 0 on right after the 2, just like that. And now we can start to count after the 0 and 10/10 or the 0.10. We will say 0.11, or we can call it 0 and 11/100. Okay, then we have 0.1200, 0.1300, 0.1400, 0.1500, 0.1600, 0.1700, 0.1800, 0.1900. So these are some of the decimal that in between the 0.1 and the 0.2. Here, if we have 5.3 and 5.4, actually they are also two consecutive numbers. So We can also find decimals in between them. We can find a lot of decimals. Now, how can we find some of them? You can just add 0 on right because it doesn't change the value of the number. Then you can count after this 0 and count after this number, so you find the decimal that between them. Okay, 5.30 hundredth, we can find 5.31 hundredth, 5.32 hundredth, 5.33 hundredth, 5.34 hundredth, 5.35 hundredth, 5.36 hundredth, 5.37 hundredth, 5.38 hundredth, 5.39 hundredth. So again, if you want to find any numbers that in between two consecutive numbers, you can find a lot of decimals and it has no end. As much as you can put 0 on right, you can count after that and you will find a very small part and a very small decimals that between them.